By the end of the night, we'll know whether Boris Johnson is taking the United Kingdom out of the European Union. We are 3 months away from an Israeli election and a year away from the American election. But 2 nights ago, President Trump was in Pennsylvania for the 4th time this year. He was accompanied there by Robert Costa and Ashley Parker of the Washington Post, who wrote about it yesterday. Robert Costa joins me this morning. He's also, of course, the host of Washington Week in Review, which you can watch every Friday evening on PBS affiliates across the country, and a colleague at MSNBC and NBC. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Great to join you, Hugh. Good morning.
I am convinced, and I will be opining as much in the Post tomorrow, that a key vice presidential possibility for Democrats is the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, who got 75,000 more votes than Donald Trump did in the Keystone State in 2016, about 100,000 more than Hillary Clinton, and is very good on Israel, very traditional Democrat, been hell on wheels on corruption in the Catholic Church outside of Philadelphia. What do you think? Have you ever met Josh Shapiro?
I've actually known Josh Shapiro for years, so it's interesting for you to bring up his name out of the blue. He is an impressive Democrat. He has been a leader in the state legislature. He has been elected numerous times in the Philadelphia suburbs, has been an executive there, and now is Attorney General, and drew a lot of attention for his investigation of the Catholic Church. Tom Wolf, the governor, is very low-key, so if you're looking for a dynamic statewide politician from Pennsylvania, Shapiro could be it. It's unusual, though, for a state attorney general to be on that list.
It is. I point, though, that he is so strong on Israel. And it's, if Michael Bloomberg is the nominee, obviously you're not going to pick a Jewish attorney general from Pennsylvania to run with him. But if you're dealing with almost anyone else in the Democratic maybe column, he adds diversity to the ticket.
He is very strong in Israel. And Pennsylvania is so critical. The Republicans hadn't won it since 88. They need to win it again in 20 if they want a shot at this White House.
That's what I think. And Western Pennsylvania is getting redder. And I know the blue suburbs of Philadelphia are getting bluer. And the balance, though, it's got to tip one way or the other. How did the rally go, in your view? Is it just what we're going to see again and again and again between now and November of next year?
It was an intense rally. I was with the president and vice president in Sunrise, Florida, a couple weeks prior. And that was a larger arena. When they go to these minor league hockey arenas, 10, 12, 13, 15,000 feet in more rural and ex-urban areas, it is an intense crowd. They are with this president. And the president soaks the base for 90-plus minutes at times. And I was also with Vice President Pence going around the state on a campaign bus. And you see the VP making these diner stops, shaking hands. And in rural and industrial areas of the country, it is still Trump country in many respects.
And now, I also do not believe that impeachment is changing any votes. It might be solidifying the resistance online. It might be solidifying the MAGA people online. They are yelling at each other. It's pretty typical on Twitter now. But I don't think it's changing a single vote. What do you think, Robert Costa?
The solidifying is evident. A few people came up to Vice President Pence and said, "Oh, this is a reality show, a circus." And Vice President Pence, in his usual low-key way, would smile and pat them on the back. And a few times he told them, "Oh, it's crazy," and he agreed. So you see the Republican base unhappy, at times furious, but ready to come out again. And for more liberal voters in the suburbs and elsewhere in urban areas, you see the impeachment inquiry underscores their deep concern about President Trump, to say the least, but it's not exactly winning tons of converts. You don't see people saying, "Oh, that Zelensky call, that suddenly brought me over the line."
No, it's not happening. I do know that I think that the IG's report hurt Democrats. I believe that, although it's been downplayed in cable land, the unmistakable message is that the FBI truly traduced the civil rights of Carter Page and was out of control. Lindsey Graham, I think, did a magnificent job yesterday. How much of these hearings did you watch, Robert Costa?
I watched almost all of them. I mean, Horowitz said the intent of these investigators was not partisan, but then detailed at length, mistake after mistake.
I want to play a very quick clip of Michael Horowitz, the key bottom line, cut number 14.
The former FBI Director James Comey said this week that your report vindicates him. Is that a fair assessment of your report?
I think the activities we found here don't vindicate anybody who touched this.
Okay.
Don't vindicate anybody who touched this. I have a column in the Washington Post today about Bill Barr, who's become my folk hero, because he's not talking about what happened in the past. He's talking about how this can never happen again. The domestic intelligence agencies and law enforcement agencies cannot get involved in American politics. Do you think everyone agrees on that now, Robert?
Hugh, that is clearly not the case. I mean, there's a huge fault line in this country based on my reporting between people who see President Trump as a destroyer of institutions and they venerate the FBI and DOJ to a point where they see the IG report as not an earth-shattering development, and then others see the IG report as similar to the investigation of the CIA in the 1970s as a red flag that makes reform necessary, but that there is not a universal consensus at all.
Well, I venerate the DOJ. I'm an alum of the DOJ, and I have great respect for the FBI and the agency, and I think all that stuff. But I do think this FISA warrant will require amendment of the FISA statute because they're going to have an independent third-party look. Because what has not yet been detailed, I wonder if you have reporting on this, Robert. How intrusive was it for Carter Page? I've got a friend who's in the business telling me when people find out what they got out of Carter Page, every email going back as far as his emails existed, his house was probably bugged, every device was probably bugged. We have ways, stuff I can't talk about from the 80s when I was at the Justice doing this stuff. They don't really have any idea of the colonoscopy that Carter Page's life was for a year and a half.
And that will only continue to come out as the probe continues on Capitol Hill. And you see Congress is furious. I mean, even people who have been a little bit on the fence about President Trump, like Senator Ben Sass of Nebraska, seemed appalled by the IG report and what it revealed. So these questions will persist, no doubt about it.
All right, let me switch very quickly to the key story of the week. Go Navy, beat Army. Mike Pompeo is allegedly going up there. Isn't that kind of putting his thumb on the scale? He's an Army guy. I'm just not sure that's fair unless we get an admiral or somebody to go out to midfield with him.
The Secretary of State is he can go anywhere in the world and he can go anywhere in the United States. Fine by me. I'm worried about Notre Dame and its bowl game against Iowa State. But I'm pleased that the SEC is a little bit different this year. Not all just an Alabama playoff run. It's going to be LSU having a real shot. I believe they're playing Oklahoma.
I believe the best thing in the world has happened. Ohio State gets to settle the score with Clemson first in Arizona. I haven't heard from Doug Ducey yet, about my tickets. And then we get to take it to LSU in a settle-up game from a few years back as well. So it's like the perfect situation for the Buckeyes. You are picking them to go all the way, aren't you, Robert?
As a guy who went to Notre Dame, a Midwest school, I have some sympathies for the Big Ten if Notre Dame's not going to be in the playoff.
Iowa State. I mean, are you going to travel to that game?
No, I'll be in Iowa enough in 2020.
That's what I was going to say. I think that's going to be the worst game. We'll be watching on Friday night Washington Weekend Review with our friend Robert Costa of the Washington Post. Thank you, Robert. Hey, America, don't go anywhere except over to HughHewitt.com. The Salvation Army Red Kettle